Today's show is going to offer, I think, an interesting filmmaker to the ones we've seen in past weeks. It's a film professor from Syracuse University and a filmmaker, Ron Marcacy. Ron's brought along a couple of films, one, Cue Ball, which is a sort of an interesting film about a magic cue ball that overcomes evil, and another film called Jonathan Edwards about the songwriter-singer. Also, and later in the show, we'll have our Lost Loop segment with Tim Wilson. Uh, Before we go to the film, I'd like to thank Ron for coming. I've seen Cue Ball before, and I found it very interesting. But before we comment on it, I guess we'll just roll it right away.
Oh, thank you, Bernie.
So here's Cue Ball by Ron Marcus.
Legend, a man of great strength and courage, favored by the gods, in part sent from them, often regarded as half-god and worshipped. A man admired for his courage, nobility, or excellence. Any person admired for his qualities or achievements and regarded as an ideal or model.
No shit.
Clearly, this is not our hero. We must turn to America's heartland, a place of eternally skies, sun, fresh air, pure waters, peace, and love. For it is here, in humble surroundings, that we find our hero.
I believe in America, a land of truth and beauty. I love my mother, apple pie, and the American way. And if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know.
While goodness surely has its rewards in the hereafter, the present is sometimes trying.
Soup is all I really need for dinner. And if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know.
It is said that the good die young. But what about the honest, the brave, the clean, the trustworthy, the thrifty, the loyal, the obedient, the reverent? Cannot they reap some earthly pleasure?
I think this is a magic ball. And if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know.
We'll be back to talk with Ron about his film Cue Ball right after this message.
Imagine, I've fallen for a younger man. It's done a lot for me, and my husband's delighted. Here's my husband, Tom, a few months ago. Gray. And here's the younger man. Tom got rid of his gray with Grecian formula. A few drops a day, and that old gray hair disappeared so gradually, we didn't notice the change. In about 3 weeks, he looked years younger, the way he used to look.
I even feel younger.
Grecian Formula 16. What else could do so much for a man?
The government will now deposit Social Security checks directly to individual bank accounts. Now, this means your check is automatically deposited to your checking or savings account without the bother of going down to your bank.
So if you sign up as Harry and Lynn Bremer did, you can eliminate the worry of your check being delayed, lost, or stolen. Ask your banker about Social Security direct deposit. America's bankers, helping you change things for the better.
Hi, we're back with Ron Marcacy, the filmmaker who made Cue Ball. Ron, I understand that we have some slides that you
I guess that's true, Bernie.
Before we go to the slides, I'd like to ask you a question. When the film was it made for any special project, or?
I was taking a course in animation, and so it's one of the requirements of that course was that it includes some animated sequences, and all of the sequences with the balls are three-dimensional animation. They don't really move under their own power. You were probably fooled by that.
About how long ago was it made?
Probably about 4 or 5, 6 years ago. I kind of lose track of time. As you get older, that happens.
Okay, I guess we'll go to the slides now, and you can give us some comment
Okay.
as we
Interesting. My goodness, that's the star of the show, Ben Burton. I picked 2 good people for the film. Ben just won an Oscar this past year for doing the voice effects on Star Wars. But that shows the basic setup. It was shot in my beautiful living room at that time. And you can see that's the kind of high-key lighting. Here we are writing down the positions, or making a chart to show the positions of the balls on the table. The live-action stuff was shot one day, and then the animated sequences were shot the next, which meant we had to know where things were from day to day. To get that overhead shot, the pool table had to be taken apart, And then you can see I've stacked a card table upon card table and then camera, and the camera was actually above ceiling level.
I understand there was some problem in your doing that with the pool table, which you ran into after you started. The people who, I guess, gave you permission to use.
On the set did not say that I had permission to take their table apart, but that's just one of the little things that one runs into when doing a film. It went back together again in a number of pieces. Here's a gun that shoots CO2 gas, which was to be used to force some red foamy shaving cream out so that it looked like the hero or the villain was shot and bled. Unfortunately, that effect didn't work as well as I had hoped. I wanted something kind of Sam Peckinpah-ish, and instead it was more kind of a Mary Poppins bleeding, but it was the best we could do. The gas from the gun went down a little hose and into this little drum that's being taped onto the villain here, and that then blew the dyed foamy out through a slit in the shirt. And the whole thing just didn't work too well, but that's how life is.
I guess that's it.
I guess that's it.
Okay. I understand there are other people who were involved with the film. The person who was a villain who are also interesting. The one.
Yeah, the villain, I told you what the hero was. The villain has turned out being a special assistant to Cary Grant for quite a number of years. He went out to Hollywood, said, I have to work in Hollywood, and he ended up becoming Cary Grant's assistant. And of course you did understand the heavy message that this film had about the non-existence of heroes.
I think before we're going to go to the Jonathan Edwards segment now, I'd like to mention the fact that this was shot here at Newhouse Communication Center, I believe it was a year ago?
Probably about 3 years ago.
Oh,
Time passes very quickly.
It's been a while, yeah. And I think the segment we're going to show is either the recording session or
If it's
perhaps an actual performance session. I'm not sure. So I guess if we're ready, we're going to roll that,
okay, then we
that
can
segment right now.
talk about
This
it.
is the Jonathan Edwards film. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not going to go that. We're going to go to the commercial first. We'll go to the Jonathan Edwards film right after this message.
One little change can make a big difference, like a couple of pounds or a mouthwash. I changed to Listermint, and I feel a lot more sure of myself. I heard that tests prove it works even longer than Scope, so I tried it, and I believe Listermint really keeps my breath fresh and clean longer. And it tastes as good as it works. Try Listermint yourself, then try it on a friend.
And now save big money with terrific Listermint coupons the week of January 29th.
Smells good.
Oh, what some folks won't do for a cup of instant Maxwell House coffee.
Didn't know Winston could smell that fresh.
Not just instant. Instant Maxwell House. Taste, Birdman.
That's fresh.
It's these flavor buds. That's where the freshness starts. Every cup tastes fresh, like your first cup in the morning.
Maxine, who are you talking to?
Myself, I was saying, how can you get a fresher cup of coffee than Instant Maxwell House?
Hi, we're back with Ron Marquesi on Screening Room. It's going to be a little while before we have that film ready. To set up the Jonathan Edwards film, I understand that it was a large financial venture for you to take on.
Yeah,
I'd like to ask you, I mean, I mentioned that it was shot here. I'd like to ask you, did you know Jonathan Edwards before you shot it? Or
No, I didn't know Jonathan Edwards. I had heard some of his records and thought, gee, he says nice things and he has a pretty good voice. And I was interested in doing a film at that time that was sweet and reflected some of the values that I had, and they seemed to appear in John's music. So I looked on one of the record jackets and called Atlantic Recording Company and said, I'd like to talk to John Edwards, and they said, well, call his manager. And that turned out to be Castle Music Productions in Boston, and I called them and I said, you don't know me, but I think I would like to do a film with John Edwards. Is he available? And they said, well, we can't answer that. John answers his own questions about what he will or will not do. But you could meet with him. He's going to be in Oswego, New York, which is fairly near Syracuse. And if you'd like to talk to him, we'll arrange for you to meet him. And I said, I'd like to talk with him. And I went to Oswego, where he was performing at the State University College there, and talked with him, told him what I wanted to do, and he said, sure, sounds like fun. And we did it.
Great. Okay, I guess if we're ready, then we're going to roll, I believe it's a recording session from the Jonathan Edwards film by Ron Marcacy, so here it is.
Electric with tubes and transistors, and they bring in the woofers and the tweeters and the VU meters and the Dolbys, and pretty soon it sounds so big. And you can do a concert every night for a long time and not be able to share as much of the tune as you can on a hit single. You know, if you have a hit single, it's on the radio every 5 minutes and everybody is sick to tears of it, you know. But it reaches a lot of people, and that's what makes it nice.
Like beauty to me, breathing like Atlantic storm. Waves of gold, I'm drowning, save me, keep me here and I'll keep you warm.
Well, how are the levels? How are the levels doing in there? You on the level? Can you talk back to me?
No, John, we can't.
Thought you were heavy.
I guess everything's set, John.
You ready? Want to try one?
Going to see my lady Linda, going to see my lady Kay. And if I don't get back in 2 weeks, well, tell my mom I'm gone away. Hello, Linda, I have found you sitting lonesome as a child. I've been lonesome till I told her, and then she took her eyes and smiled. Well, people push the ones they love, sometimes places where they shouldn't go. Linda, I know. Well, see me, Linda, I am standing cold alone outside your door. Take me in, I'll love you gently, you won't go away no more. I didn't mean to make you leave, and I'm wondering why. Well, give me another try. Her body feels like beauty to me, breathing like Atlantic storm. Waves of gold, I'm drowning, save me, keep me here and I'll keep you warm.
Hi, we're back with Ron Marcacy, who made the Jonathan Edwards film. I guess a first question I'm going to ask you is, you brought Jonathan Edwards in to do what I think is a pretty fair-sized work by a filmmaker who took care of it himself. Can you give me a little bit of an idea of what production facilities you had to bring in? Did you use in-house people from Newhouse?
Yeah, it was done using a great number of students. I teach at the Newhouse School, and over the course of making the film, there were probably about 70 different students who worked in different capacities on it. There were no professional people hired to do anything except the audio mix, which was done by John Edwards Recording Company, since they like to control the way he sounds in part. The cost of doing the film, the real out-of-pocket, was about $20,000 or a little more. So it was a fairly ambitious project. The total film, as you know, is about an hour in length.
Did you specifically make the film, or had you considered making the film specifically for TV, or?
Well, good question, Bernie. What I was doing with the film was hoping that I could do it as a pilot for a series of films about people who write and perform their own music, who both write and perform, because I think that music and top 40 lyrics and things are kind of our contemporary poetry and represent a very important forum for communication between young people, or from certain older people to an awful lot of young people, and yet we seem to ignore, for the most part, the content of popular music. And so I thought that by looking at some of these people, one might come to better understand what was being said.
I see that we have some slides from the shooting of the film, so if you would,
All right.
Hugh Blow, we'll take a
We'll
look at
take
it.
a look at these slides. This is it was simply a poster that was done to help us advertise the 3 concerts that were given specifically really for doing the filming, but by selling tickets it was possible to generate some revenue to help offset the production expenses. And we had a full house for all 3 performances. One was on a Friday, and then 2 performances were the following night. Here is the television studio that we used for filming. We used 3 cameras. You kind of asked about that earlier. And this is what's called an airlift. It's being used to mount lights on the ceiling for lighting the set area. And this is the lighting control board, which is in this very studio, being readied for the actual shooting times. And this is the camera crane. I'm sitting up there. It took about 6 people to operate the crane, which we got from MGM at a bargain price.
How many cameras did you say again?
3 cameras were running. That camera on the crane was the center front camera, which did most anything it wanted to do, and then there were 2 side cameras, one which would run in close-up and the other in long shot, so that the shooting was done in the concert portions by format. We haven't seen any of the concert portions, but you just have to believe that, Bernie.
What was probably the biggest difficulty? Obviously, 3 camera setup within a concert. I know there's going to be a lot of time and care taken with the sound. Were there any major problems with the actual physical production?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with the in-concert material was that we had big sound systems put in for the studio audience so that they could hear the performances as they should. And the audio levels were so high that it was impossible for the camera people to communicate with each other. I don't know if you've been to any concerts lately, but it's the kind of thing where you have to shout to the person who's sitting next to you, and that posed some real problems. The biggest non-studio problem was going to Nova Scotia to shoot. John has a farm there, and crossing the border into Canada, I had to sell myself all of my motion picture equipment, which was worth about $20,000 or more, in Canada, pay duty on it, use it in Canada, and then import it back into the United States.
Okay, we're at the end of the show. We're going to see another segment from the Jonathan Edwards film. After this message, we're going to be coming back with Tim Wilson and his famous Lost Loop segment, and offer an interesting question this week. Is it true, Tim, that you pressed the tit for Lorne Greene? We'll be right back after this message.
Oh, yeah. Look what's coming. A tropical treat from Kool-Aid. Yeah. Tropical Punch from Kool-Aid is new. Tropical Punch brings the tropics to you.
New tropical punch flavor from Kool-Aid. Delicious. Yeah, with a special punchy taste. That's really great when you're thirsty.
New Tropical Punch flavor. Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix. Oh, yeah.
Dog lover, so I treat my dog to liver snaps. Made with real liver. Liver snaps. I said it was a big dog lover.
Tim, again, I'm going to pose the question for you. Is it true that you pushed the tit for Lorne Greene?
Press the tit. It's a British expression meaning push the button, like in a machine gun or something, you know, you push the button on a Hurricane fighter. And Lorne Greene was, I guess, the Walter Cronkite of Canada in those days. He was the voice of God. He did all the National Film Board narrations, all the big ones, until the people of Canada got tired of hearing him, you know, tell them, like God, to buy war bonds or make bombers or something. It took the Film Board a long time to live down that image, and look what it's done for Lorne Greene. And somebody had to press the button, so Sidney Newman, who later became head of drama for both the BBC and ITV in England, Sidney Newman claims he invented both the Avengers and Masterpiece Theatre, which may or may not be true. But Sidney Newman was not about to press the tit himself. That was for very, you know, minor people. That was my first job. And Sidney Newman would wave like this, and I would press the tit, and a little red light would go on, and Lorne Greene would read his next paragraph of narration. He was, by the way, a fantastic narrator. You could do it once and then say to him, you know, I would like that paragraph 4 seconds shorter, and I'd like the next paragraph 13 seconds longer, and I'd like the next paragraph such and such, and he'd do it like that, without a stopwatch or anything. A man with fantastic control.
Okay, well, thank you, Tim. I'm sorry that we, or that I said push the tit instead of press the tit, although I don't understand if there's any real difference there anyhow. Thanks again for coming by. We'll see you next week. And before we close, I'd like to thank Ron Marcacy again for stopping by and bringing these films. We're going to show another segment from the Jonathan Edwards concert, and a very interesting segment. And until next week, this has been Screening Room, and I've been your host, Bernie Eaglehair. Thank you.
Cold snow is a-blowing and I cried for wanting you. Stranger in my waking hours than sleep could hurry to. Fasten up my bootstrap, baby, and pull your wool hat down. For the sky is shining white, my love, to cover all the ground. Hey, the sky is shining white, my love, to cover all the ground. Sing and write me letters from a song into a song. Something warm for winter now, with dreams to send along. Cold time is a-coming, and I know you heard the sound. For the sky is shining white, my love, to cover all the ground. Hey, the sky is shining white, my love, to cover all the ground. All the ground. Cold snow is a-blowing and I cried for wanting you. Stranger in my waking hours than sleep could hurt to. Fasten up your bootstrap, baby, and pull your wool hat down. For the sky is shining white, my love, to cover all the ground. Hey, the sky is shining white.
Communication Center in Syracuse, New York.
So low and
Come on, down you go.
She's talking to the drain.
It's so slow, I'm coaxing the water down.
Hey, that's a clog building up. Use my liquid plumber. It gets buildup before it backs up. Because liquid plumber's a liquid. It coats pipe walls everywhere in the trap. Dissolves slow drain buildup away.
Hey, it's draining fast again.
Now you don't have to talk to it.
Liquid Plumber gets buildup before it backs up.
Good drain.
This is the Genie portable transmitter made exclusively by Alliance for Genie automatic garage door opener systems. A touch of the button and Genie opens your garage door, turns on the light, and lets you drive right in. Only Genie features Sequencer, the computer-controlled brain, and Cryptar 2 digital controls with 3,000 codes now available. Insist on the genuine Genie. Made only by Alliance.
Stand by. 10 seconds.
Isn't this kind of off then?
All right. Go to black. Roll V3. Take VTR 3 seconds. All right. Ready, 1. 3. Tilt up. You're cutting his head off. Center mount. Mike and Cume, take one.
Welcome to Screening Room, the
Ready
show that
to.
brings you creations by independent filmmakers and the creators themselves. I'm your host, Bernie Ebel here. This week's show has two very different filmmakers. The first, Kevin Pickard, a graduate student, has brought along a film called Paid Political Announcement, which looks at politics, sex, and sort of the political scene through a filmmaker's eyes. And our second guest is Peter Huczynski, a relative novice to filmmaking, but who's brought along a very interesting film called Race. Also, later in the program, we'll have our veteran film commentator, Tim Wilson, in his Lost Loop segment. But first, I'd like to introduce Kevin Pickard. Kevin is a graduate student at SU, finishing up a Master's of Fine Arts in film. He's done a couple of films, both of which are very intense, and the one he's brought along today is Paid Political Announcement. Kevin, thanks for coming aboard.
Thank you, Bernie.
The first thing I guess I have to ask you is, when did you get into filmmaking?
Center him up 3.
And what are the influences or the things that seem to influence you in your work?
Take 3.
Well, I began my studies in filmmaking when I was a senior in college at Ohio Wesleyan. I was heavily involved in still photography.
1 minute,
but
1 minute
my
till
art professor
film.
there introduced me to Super 8 movies, and I got so involved, so wrapped up in that, the whole creative process of making a film, that I instantaneously wanted to go off to Hollywood. And so I packed up my car and bought all the road maps and had all of the intentions of going out there, going to school, or finding a job in the industry. But I returned home to Syracuse. This is my home. This is where my parents are.
to
And
film.
I said, well,
30
are you
seconds.
sure all this is going to happen when you get out there? Oh, well,
Stand by on
I
GTR
decided to take their advice and check out Syracuse, and here I met Owen Shapiro. And
the rest is history.
The rest is history.
We're going to go into the clip right away. You've described Paid
10
Political
seconds.
Announcement as a view of politics within the media. Can you quickly set up
Get him.
the clip that we're going to see?
Well, in actuality, I believe this is the movie theater scene that you're about to see. It just gives a
Get him off. Tell him to
general
go
view of the cast and of the situation. It's the character is played by myself. It's a politician who's concerned with his image, and he's watching his image on the screen that his campaign workers have made of him, and he's quite upset with this.
Okay, we're going to roll this right away then. This is a clip from
Roll
Kevin
VTR
Pickard's
3.
Paid Political Announcement.
And dissolve to VTR 3. Lose their mind. VTR 3. Tell them that there are 30 seconds. We'll subtract 30 seconds from the next interview. I'm just gonna try to end it.
Film is political. Social values are formulated and dictated.
Okay, let Bernie know that we're a little bit behind. The interview is going to go the interview at the same time we said we were going to. 7:15 into the show.
2 minutes left of film.
Whereby the voting public in the creation of social values. Thank you.
What do you think? This movie that you made of me is going to ruin my political career. Why? I'm portrayed as a bumbling idiot, a fool. I'm going to lose the election for sure. Bumbling idiot?
I don't know. I think he wants a little more character.
Character?
1.5 minutes left of film.
Me? Well, maybe you need more character. Where have I heard that line before?
What?
Hey, don't get on me for my character empathy.
When are we
He's
coming
right.
back?
You look like an imbecile, but that's exactly what the public needs. They need somebody stupid to identify with because they're just as stupid as you are. I mean,
1 minute left of film.
The dog worker, the dog barking is the best part of the whole
What? I can't hear you.
Are we going back? What are we going back to?
Yeah,
Tim?
one. He knows. We always come back on one.
I hear that 30 seconds of film. Do you have foldback? seconds.
name is Kevin Pickard, and I haven't seen anyone in years. I don't get out of this house. Man, I don't know what the hell's going on in this world. Man, I got to see you. Fine, sir.
Dissolve to one mic cue.
Back on Screening Room with Kevin Pickard, whose segment from
no
the
commercial.
political announcement
No
you just
commercial.
saw. Kevin, I understand that you were a candidate while you were making the film, and the film concerns itself with your political image. Did you experience the same concern over your political image in actuality as you did in the film?
I think there's many ways to answer that question, Bernie. I've recently been working in a
1 minute,
TV
45
station and
seconds.
as a cinematographer, and I went out every day shooting politicians, putting them on the air for the 6 and the 11 o'clock news. And I did this for about 2 months, and day in and day out, I'm sort of giving them publicity and giving them the propaganda by actually recording them on film. So my concern has always been with the media in relationship to politics. And my father wanted me to run for county legislator in this area, and I was actively involved in that for a short while. I didn't actually put my name on the ballot, but because I didn't want any part of it, but because my political leanings are quite different. I don't think they have a party for me.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that in a second. We're going to be back in just a little while, right after this commercial, with more of Paid Political Announcement with Kevin Pickard, so stay tuned.
Take film 1 and sound.
Hi, I'm Jackie Cooper. Back in 1942, I spent over 3 years in the Navy. Since then, I've had a lot of associations.
Over.
The Navy's grown and changed, but in today's Navy, you can still share a part of what's made America great. Over the years, there's been a lot of changes. Today, women can serve with opportunities equal to those for men.
Okay.
I'm
We're
convinced.
going to keep this quick. It's going to be like 45 seconds long.
Just a fact. See your Navy recruiter.
Ready,
Find
stand
out
by.
how you can make the most of yourself.
No, it's 1 minute commercial.
Oh, we got 30
more seconds.
Tilt down a little more. Tilt up one.
Are you going to take the 15 seconds?
Yeah, we're gonna go to Paid Political Announcement shorter than we said we were going to. We're gonna go to it at 9:15 on that clock. 1 minute. 1 minute till we go to Paid Political Announcement.
Till
it isn't there.
Ready, 1.
5 to studio.
And Mike, 1.
Hi, we're back here on Screening Room with Kevin Pickard. Kevin, we're going to roll another clip of this. Could you sort of set it up?
Okay,
it's
40 seconds.
What I understand, the Brodel scene.
Yeah, ready, 3?
Can you give us a quick idea of what happens in this scene?
Take 3.
Okay, Bernie, the character, the politician in the film, goes to the brothel to regain his image and to get it up, say. And there he confides in the girls and in the madame, and essentially has a time.
Okay. All right, so without any further ado,
Okay, roll VTR 3.
Roll next segment, the Brodel scene from Kevin Pickard's Paid Political Announcement.
Dissolve to 3. Yes.
Sarebbe meglio avere una famiglia.
Like to do. Beautiful. Film.
All your girls. Beautiful. Delicious.
12.
But I just could not get. Jeff. Make a film. I came out as a fucking idiot. Fool. The second disaster, I killed myself. Here in front of the camera. I got the camera. I really stunk. I don't know what's become. I don't know what's become. you. Linda, my closest friend and confidant. Please, please, only you know the answer to this. Help me out.
I think I know what you need. What would you
Brian's interview with
I don't know yet. We're going to see when this film ends. I mean, I'm going to go by running time, so just tell them to keep going, and we'll give you the cues. At 15:25 running time, we're going to that commercial, or thereabouts. And we're going to change the guest reset in the next commercial.
Wow! I think I can get it up again.
Don't stand by.
Come on.
We're back in screening room. Kevin, needless to say, there's an obvious connection here between politics and sex in paid political announcement. And more importantly is the use of the camera within the context of the scene. Can you give us an idea of why you did that and what the reasoning behind it is?
Well, throughout paid political announcement, the viewer is always aware of who has the camera and where the camera is and what the relationship the camera has to the film. In this particular scene, the politician is fed up with his own image, and so he has tried to, the prostitutes, the whores, the hookers have given him a camera in which he can go out and shoot his own view, his own perspective on life. It's no longer getting in front of the camera, and it's using the camera in a means by which he can show his view of world and his own image.
Okay, I want to jump ahead. Obviously, the viewers haven't seen it. I've seen the film a couple of times. The end scene, to me, is almost like a Fellini-esque dream sequence. Were you influenced heavily by Fellini, or what did you see the last scene to mean, and sort of give us a description of how the film ends?
Well, the last scene is all the characters in the film, the cast and the crew, get together in sort of a circus-type atmosphere. They're all dressed up in different costumes. In fact, all the characters in the play, in the film, play a different role at different times. I've been heavily influenced by Fellini, but I didn't think of him while I was doing any shot. But that's my favorite filmmaker.
Okay, quickly before we leave, what does the future hold for Kevin Pickard, both as a filmmaker and as a politician?
I prefer independent politics and independent filmmaking.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Kevin, for coming aboard.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break now.
I have a whole
We'll be
minute,
coming back
actually.
in a little while with another filmmaker, Peter Huczynski, who's brought along a very interesting film called Race. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
It's still. All right, let's see the film. Show it. Go to black. Roll the film if you can get that film rolling. It's not remote. All right, we'll just sit on it for a minute. All right, just tell me when a minute is up. Doesn't matter if they get it up, we're not going to take it.
They're on it.
All right, go to black. Black.
You want to go to any kind of a, you don't have enough.
All right.
20 seconds
All right, if it goes to another commercial after this, we'll take that commercial. Well, we're just sitting on black.
left. Pick that up, 30 seconds.
Didn't come up quite on time. All right, ready to all right, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. And Mike Hume, take one.
Okay, we're back here on Screening Room with Peter
ready
Hitchinski,
to.
our other,
We're 35
other guest
seconds
today.
ahead.
Peter is a junior at Syracuse University, majoring in film, and I guess a relative novice to filmmaking, but the film he has made, Race, shows, I think, some very interesting physical understanding of the medium, and I'd just like to thank Peter for coming here today. Peter, quickly, what got you interested in film?
Tell him to
What
stretch.
started you in it, and what do you see for the future in terms of filmmaking for yourself?
I see. Well, my interest stems back to back when I was in high school. I was very interested in photography, and originally that was I was going to go to college for. And once I got to college, I did pick up an interest in film and all sorts of visual mediums, and that's really what I want to do now. I want to go more into it. Race was the first film I've ever made that was in 16mm and had sync sound with it.
Do you find a definite connection to photography, or do you find film for yourself a whole different medium than to the medium of photography, art in general? Is that one of the reasons you may have gone into it?
Well, I feel there is a definite connection to still photography. A lot of my images, a lot of the things I see are very strong in composition. I feel very strongly for composing the image and setting it up like that. And for me, Race was basically an exercise in just setting up shots, running through them. There are an awful lot of shots.
And a whole minute now.
It is a short film, but it contains many different shots.
Yeah, I just saw the film this afternoon before we came on the air. I was very impressed with the physical aspects of it and the production values, and obviously your interest in photography is quite evident, and also the pacing. Well, I think probably what's best to do here is to show our audience
No,
the
he's
film.
got 30 seconds left.
And have them judge it for themselves, and then we'll be back to talk to you. So without any further
Roll
ado,
VTR
fasten your
3,
seatbelts, and
dissolve
now we're
to
going to take a
VTR
look
3.
at Peter Hitchinski's film,
Roll VTR
Race.
3 and dissolve to VTR 3. Okay, Race constantly is going fast to everything.
Is
so
he seeing any of your cues?
Just okay.
It doesn't look.
If he's too far ahead, he's only going to have to make up stuff at the end. So it's better that he stretches while we got the interview. Now, he's what? He's 30 seconds ahead. Okay, he's 30 seconds. So
He knows. He knows.
don't.
Seen my cues. But
Yeah, I know. I'm. Just.
Make up
You,
the
I don't
time
know.
at the
Look
end.
at him.
I
He said
know
make
what you're
up the time at the end.
Left to studio.
Right. So altogether we're 30 seconds ahead.
Right. We're just gonna time it from that way, okay? So don't worry about it. We're gonna like tack on 30 seconds to this interview. We'll make it like 3 minutes and 15 seconds instead. At 22:25 on the running time, we're gonna go to the commercial. That's how I'm gonna time it, right? So that's still
1.5 minutes to studio.
I'm sorry, 25:10. So that's still quite a while.
1 minute to studio. Seconds to studio. Seconds to studio.
Tell me stand by.
Welcome back to Screening Room. That was Peter Huchinsky's film Race. Peter, I guess my first question has to be the influence on this film, or on you, of whatever made you do this film, I guess I'm trying to say. Is it a personal experience, or is it's sort of a comment on a genre that's been done a number of times, the whole idea of drag race or whatever?
Well, Bernard, I would have to say it's a little bit of both. Basically, I want to make a statement on the fast car culture and how today individuals are more involved with their images rather than what they basically really are. You're right about the genre. It is typecast. It's an old story.
Yeah.
Boy and girl and somebody else interacting.
I can't help but be impressed with a number of things. Obviously, first and foremost, like you said, this is your first film, and the production values are very, very good. The photography is, your ability as a photographer is quite obvious. I almost get a sense that in many ways the photography is very similar to a sort of a neo-realist a look at things, this intense look at small objects, at hubcaps, at chrome and everything. Are you influenced by any specific art movement in shooting your films?
Not really. Like I said, I was just basically interested in fitting like a lot of information in a small amount of time, showing all the little different aspects of just an event that lead up to its final outcome.
Okay. Quick question too. Obviously the viewers would be interested in how you shot the race sequence, and also if you could tell us the importance of cutting and editing and giving it that sense of speed and emergency as it goes to the final crash.
Lots of time.
Well, the speed and urgency is built up by the large amount of shots that are packed in those last few seconds. There are like many shots lasting for maybe 3-4 seconds or even less, and just the rapid succession of those gives the feeling of urgency, plus like the speed involved in the end. The race sequence, that was all filmed, that was all undercranked. That was all filmed at half speed. When the cars were driving by, they were only doing about 30 miles an hour, and the undercranking made it appear that they were doing about 60 miles an hour.
There was no problem with any danger to you filming it. I remember the one sequence of the cars both going obviously on either side of the camera and seemingly very close. Was there any close calls in the process of shooting it?
Well, when we were shooting that, we were going to have a hi-hat, which is basically a small tripod, and we were going to set that down in the middle of the road and let the two cars drive by it, run the camera automatically. We couldn't get hold of one of those. So what I had to do instead was just get a beanbag, hold the camera handheld, lay down in the middle of the road,
and
hope
for the best.
Really.
That's great. Quickly, what's in the future for you in terms of film?
30 seconds.
Making films is, let's say, your life's ambition.
Yes, that's basically what I'm going to go into. I have another year here at SU, and probably go out in the job market after that. I might return for graduate studies, but that's what I will do.
Great. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for inviting me, Bruno.
Peter's also going to be making another film, or is in the process of making a film, Salvation Army, which hopefully you all see later on. We'll be right back after this to go to our Lost Loop segment with our in-house film commentator, Tim Wilson, so stay tuned.
Sit up straight. Get him up straight. So yeah, camera 3. Get him to look at camera 3. Okay, ready 2. We're coming back.
Got 30 seconds left.
It's called the Harrier. It's brand new. And the Marine Corps is looking
Coming
for
back
good
on
men
2, and then we're going to go to 3.
If you think you're ready, talk to the Marine officer who comes to your
Stand
place.
by. And Mike and Cume, take 2.
Hi, we're back on Screening Room.
Mix Effects 1?
Tim, last week I posed the question, is it true you pressed the tit for Lauren Green? I've got a better question for you this week. I've heard that you actually did shoot film in the Garden of Eden. Can you tell us?
Well, that's exaggerating a little. We were near one of the
But it is
sites
off
of
to
the Garden of Eden, which is in the south of Iraq, where the Tigris and Euphrates join to form the Shatt al-Arab.
Off to 1.
And we were down shooting oil fields. We also made
Oh,
a
I'm
news
sorry,
magazine for
3.
the people to show where the oil money was going, and we did a little sequence on date
Ready to
harvesting.
take film 2.
Fascinating. Millions and millions of dates. You know, the Arabs have 250 different
Take
words
film
for
2.
different types of
Ready
dates.
to change slide?
The Marsh Arabs there, who had the fantastic, beautiful, slim little boats carved out of a log and live in reed huts.
Okay, 30 to the outro.
Oh, they're,
Change slide.
the site of the Garden of Eden is a little picket fence with a tree there that's obviously very young.
Right, just 30 to the outro.
When English visitors go, they say that the tree was mowed down by the Turkish and the British replanted it. If Turkish visitors go, they say the opposite. There are also some people called Chaldeans who believe in total baptism. All the men are called John the Baptist, and they're all silversmiths. And after any pollution at all, including sex, they must immerse themselves immediately in the Tigris or the Euphrates, I forget which, but the houses are all lined up, you see, along the river. And on a good night, they say you hear splash, splash, splash all down the river. And that means there's a lot of lovemaking been going on.
10 seconds.
Okay. Tim, we've got the good word that we're no longer going to get little bits and segments of your experiences in film, but next week we're going to have you on as our guest and take a look at some of your work. So I'm going to be looking forward to that.
God forbid.
We're going to be looking forward to that. In the meantime, I'd like to thank Kevin Pickard and Peter Huczynski both for being on our program, and invite you back next week for another segment of Screening Room. Until then, I'm your host, Bernie Evilhair. Have a good night.
Okay, film 2. Hit the card. Roll the credits. We got no time. Just change it. Yeah, change it. Here's the card.
Take the ID card. Roll film 1.
This has been a Newhouse Communications television presentation.